Everybody says OpenWorker hands you finished work instead of chat. I spent 5 charges trying to prove that wrong. OpenWorker claims to be a local-first agent that delivers real artifacts, not replies. The only question is whether those claims actually hold up when you push on them. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. 1. OpenWorker delivers finished work artifacts, not chat. And look, you've got a real objection here because every AI tool promises this. You ask for a Slack reply, a brief, a calendar update, and you get a paragraph of suggestions instead of the actual thing. And that gap is exactly where most agents fall apart. It's the core of what OpenWorker is selling. I looked across 4 independent press sources and the vendor docs, and they're consistent. OpenWorker returns polished documents, Slack replies, and calendar updates as actual artifacts, not chat responses. The honest caveat is that nobody's published a measured completion rate or quality score, so this is qualitative consensus across 4 sources rather than a hard number, and I think that's still worth something. This charge is dismissed. The finished artifact claim holds, confirmed across press and vendor sources even without a benchmark number, and that's one of 1 claims holding up so far. The core promise of OpenWorker is at least directionally real based on everything published. I've spent enough time digging through agent docs and press coverage to know when a claim is consensus and when it's just one vendor saying a thing. Drop a comment if you've actually run OpenWorker and felt that gap yourself. Claim 2, OpenWorker works entirely local first. The objection I hear constantly is that every tool says local first until you read the fine print and realize your API key is sitting on someone else's inference server. And if that server gets breached or goes down, your sensitive files and history go with it. I've seen that happen to real teams, so it's worth actually checking the architecture here. The part that got me here is how clean the architecture actually is. Press confirms there is no OpenWorker inference service at all. Your keys stay on your machine. You can run 30 curated cloud models with your own key, or drop to Alama for fully local inference with 0 API key required. And data leaves only through the model and integrations you choose. That's documented independently, not just in the vendor docs. Charge dismissed again. Local first is OpenWorker's strongest verified claim, confirmed by press independently of the vendor. And that's 2 of 2 claims holding up. This one's the clearest win in the whole review because the architecture is documented in detail, not just asserted. Claim 3, OpenWorker chains multiple integrations. The real objection is that 25 connectors sounds great on a landing page, but if they don't actually talk to each other in a single workflow, you're just doing manual handoffs with extra steps. A Slack message that can't pull a HubSpot record and write a follow-up without you stitching it together is a fancy button, not an agent. I looked at the blog sources and they confirmed 25 plus connectors, including Slack, HubSpot, GitHub, Calendar, and MCP for anything else. And bidirectional Slack is documented. I mentioned OpenWorker in a channel. It opens a desktop session and returns a thread reply. Multi-tool orchestration is confirmed too, though nobody published a measured workflow test with completion times, so the quality ceiling is still unknown. Charge dismissed. The integration claim holds with MCP, meaning the connector list is basically open-ended rather than capped at 25. And that's 3 of 3 claims holding up. The MCP support is honestly the part I didn't expect to be this well documented. Okay, So 3 claims are looking solid, but the next 2 are where things get genuinely interesting. The due diligence claim is either the thing that makes OpenWorker a serious enterprise tool or the moment the hype breaks, and the safety architecture claim decides whether you'd actually trust this thing to act on your behalf without watching every move. Both of those are still ahead. Claim 4, OpenWorker handles complex professional tasks, including cross-border M&A due diligence. And yeah, this is the claim that made me most skeptical because M&A due diligence has real legal and compliance stakes. If you hand that to a tool that's not built for it and it misses a tax implication or a jurisdiction flag, you're looking at a failed deal or a lawsuit, and that's a very different kind of mistake than a bad report. Watch what happens when you actually look for evidence here. No source documents real M&A use. I couldn't find any published tax-specific capability, and what the sources do confirm is CRM brief, prep, and dashboard aggregation, which are genuinely useful knowledge worker tasks, but a long way from cross-border compliance review. The M&A framing is aspirational, not tested, and that's a real gap between the marketing and what's actually in the record. This charge sticks. The cross-border compliance framing overstates what OpenWorker is actually built for, because no evidence of real enterprise compliance use exists anywhere in the published record. That puts us at 3 of 4 claims holding up, and we've got 1 more to go. Claim 5, OpenWorker requires human approval for consequential actions. The failure mode you actually care about is the agent that sends a Slack message you didn't mean to send, or modifies a file you weren't done with, or runs a shell command you didn't approve, and that's the thing that makes people turn agents off entirely and go back to doing it themselves. I had to run through this one twice because the architecture is more detailed than I expected. Press confirms 4 risk classes: read, write, local, exec, and external and interactive mode is the default, so OpenWorker pauses and asks before writes, before external actions, and before shell commands. The shell command behavior is documented explicitly. It asks every time, by design, with no way to auto-approve it. Charge dismissed. The safety architecture is OpenWorker's most rigorously documented claim, with 4 risk classes and 5 permission modes, all confirmed by press independently, and that's 4 of 5 claims holding up. Final tally, OpenWorker delivers on 4 of 5 charges tested. OpenWorker genuinely shines on 4 things. Local first architecture with no inference service, so your keys and files never leave your machine. 30 curated models, including fully local Ultima, with no API key at all. A safety system with 4 risk classes and 5 permission modes built into the core rather than bolted on. And 25 plus integrations plus MCP, which makes the connector list basically unlimited. OpenWorker falls short in 3 real ways. The cross-border compliance framing has no evidence behind it, so don't let that sell you on enterprise use. Nobody's published a measured artifact quality score or completion rate, so you're trusting qualitative consensus. And if your team needs hosted SaaS with SSO, audit logging, and centralized admin, OpenWorker is simply not built for that. Worth it if you're a developer, knowledge worker, or small team who wants real output from a local agent and cares about data privacy. Skip it if you need enterprise compliance, SSO, or centralized admin. 4 of 5 claims held up, and the one that didn't was always hype, not a product failure. One thing the marketing doesn't mention: unattended mode doesn't give OpenWorker more autonomy. It routes approval prompts to an inbox instead of interrupting you, so if you set it and walk away expecting it to finish the job, it'll just queue up and wait. That inbox can stack up fast on long multi-step workflows, and nobody warns you about it up front. If you're weighing local-first agents against cloud-hosted ones, the next thing worth watching is the DeepSeek V4 review right here on the channel. It's a different architecture with a different set of trade-offs, and after going through OpenWorker's claims, the comparison is actually pretty interesting. So go check out DeepSeek V4, should you switch, and see where the gaps show up.